Well, hello, my lovelies. It's Murky Meg here. It's Friday, the 14th of October, and excuse me, but I'm a little bit confused. In Meghan Markle's recent Archetypes Spotify podcast, she states that she's been labelled as crazy and hysterical as she lashed out at Hollywood female stereotypes and reveals Harry found her help when she was at her worst point. But that's not what she said in Oprah, was it? Or was it? I'm so confused with these twists and turns of this couple that they say one thing and then another. I find it quite hypocritical. Now, in the episode, she took a swipe at popular American sitcoms such as How I Met Your Mother and Scrubs in a discussion about how the label crazy is used to diminish women's credibility. That may be so, but it's also done to males as well. It's not just a female label, it's also a male label too. She's damaging stereotypes. It's not an archetype, it's a stereotype that she's talking about. So I find this podcast completely mislabeled. It's stereotypes that she's talking about. But we had the Dragon Lady, which confused everybody, especially with the two particular films that she singled out, which were Kill Bill and Austin Powers, two films that were released over 20 years ago. She's just nitpicking at this point. And the laughable thing is when you actually start to listen to the episode, she offers a trigger warning advising anybody to tune out if they find the content too heavy. Yet she then went on to absolutely slate Hollywood for its stereotyping of crazy hot females. It seems that she's not content until she absolutely takes a dig at everybody in Hollywood. She says that she herself had been described as crazy and hysterical before she commented that Harry, at her worst point, found and referred her to a therapist. But isn't that at complete odds to what they said on Oprah? They said that Harry couldn't help. Are we in some kind of time warp here? But these episodes of Archetypes are literally picking apart anything possible with credence. But the beauty of it is that she seems to be latching onto something and then making it about herself, which is a very narcissistic typical thing to do. Find a subject, rip it apart and make it your own and paint yourself as the victim. Narcissists 101. Now, she may have only had a bit part, but wasn't she in a movie called Horrible Bosses, which really did stereotype the hot, crazy female boss? She was happy to take that role, wasn't she? I believe she was the FedEx girl. Literally a fleeting glimmer, but she was still in there, and that is a very fine portrayal of a female crazy boss. It's almost like she thinks we can't remember. And of course, we have to remember this little doozy of the suitcase girl on Deal or No Deal. If that's not a stereotype, I don't know what is. And if you refer to her Suits character, that was also a major stereotype of the sexy paralegal. Granted, there was an element of brains there, but still a stereotype nonetheless. This whole unable to get help for herself has never washed for me. At what point do you become a person where you physically can't get help yourself? I mean, everybody's had bouts of depression, and some people, unfortunately, have been so low they physically can't put one foot in front of the other or get out of bed. But even then, they know they need help at some point. Why rely on your husband to get you a therapist? It was all part of her master plan. She went to HR because she knew HR wasn't going to help her. It's plain as day. And this was used as another tool against the royal family. They wouldn't help me at my time of need. It's a master play-by-play of a manipulative narcissist. Also, she's going on about stereotypes. We all remember the burger flipping video, don't we? Yes, that's a doozy. If you haven't seen it, it's all over social media. But I have put a link up in the top right-hand corner if you want to see it. the very raunchy, thumb-licking, burger-eating, flipping, touting, sexualizing cooking of a burger. Yep. Stereotype. Oh, sorry, archetype. Which is it? Stereotype or archetype? It's exhausting, isn't it? It seems to me that this Spotify podcast is literally a place where she can tear people down or people's work down, Hollywood's work down. Aim at the people that wouldn't give you the big roles, Meghan. Well done. Well done indeed. It must be fabulous now you've married a prince to be able to stand against all those people that you were so desperate to get attention before you married. Your meal ticket. I'm sorry if I'm being harsh. I'm not in the best of moods with regards to this because it seems that she's now in this point where she feels that she can have a go at anybody and anything without accountability, without fact checking, without any recourse whatsoever. You can't just aim squarely at Hollywood going, "Hey, you big meanies." When in fact, you were never there in the first place, love. You got where you are because you married royalty. Couldn't hack it, left, and now you are where you are. Buckle up because it's going to get a lot worse. We have The Crown coming out in November. Now I know The Crown. People love it. Some people love it. Some people hate it. It is loosely based. And I use that phrase very, very loosely. Irony, of course. It is loosely based on facts. This season will focus on Charles and Diana. Diana's death up to that point and the aftermath. And they will cover the funeral. Let's not forget that Harry and Meghan are in bed with Netflix. Who produces The Crown? Netflix. They're about to tear their family apart with their association with Netflix. Harry has said so many times about the memory of walking behind his mother's coffin and what it did to him. Yet he is in bed being paid by a company who is about to profit and manipulate on those facts. Not a good look. They have both built their brand on their grievances. Both of them are equally as bad as each other. That is not sustainable. And when Netflix Crown hits, there will be backlash because he can't stop it. There's nothing he can do. It's their biggest earner. It's their biggest crowd pleaser. It is their beacon of what they stand for, Netflix. The Crown is their biggest show. They're not going to change anything for Harry. And they will squarely manipulate, twist, and more importantly, sensationalise what happened. But unfortunately, they are tied to Netflix and ultimately Harry's book deal because what other income do they have? They have the Spotify. Yes, Meghan's done Archetypes, but where were Archwell? Where's the Archwell podcast? You had one holiday season episode. That's it. That seems to be dead in the water. What's happened to that? Why all of a sudden has she gone on to these Archetypes podcast who just it seems to be a whinge fest. It's one problem after another, squarely aiming at something that she has a grievance with that nobody really else does. And she just seems to be taking aim at everybody in Hollywood. But why? Why? It's negative. Everything she says picks apart. She's being exceptionally negative. But isn't she always harping on about being positive? Remember when they had the Sussex Royal Instagram account before it was swiftly taken away from them when they left royal life? There was a post on there. Can you remember they did the blue post with the quotes? Oh, it's so tedious. One time they'd put a post of a quote by Nelson Mandela and it said, "It's easy to break down and destroy. The heroes are those who make peace and build." That's not what she's doing right now in these Archetype episodes. She's literally breaking down and destroying all of these people that she's taking aim at. So with the episodes and the book, it all seems to be about airing grievances. And why is Meghan so hellbent on picking apart stereotypes in Hollywood? Is it because she never actually made it to Hollywood? When a narcissist finds a little bit of power, it goes to their heads and they start to absolutely destroy those that they think harmed them or shunned them. They are the perpetual victim, but they're also very good at gaslighting and dehumanizing people. This is exactly what she's doing. She's trying to break down walls, but in fact, she's building them around herself and effectively saying, Hollywood, you're screwed. You're doing it all wrong. You've got to listen to me. Stop doing what you're doing the way that you're doing it. I'm right, you're wrong. So no, 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 no. What gives her the position of power to say these things? Is it purely a narcissistic trait that she believes she's right and everybody else is wrong? It seems that every single episode there is a grievance against something. And that's a pretty sad way to live. For somebody who's supposed to have a positive outlook and be a leader, she sure knows how to hold a grudge and how to weaponize that grudge. She once said, very infamously, you draw your own box. You introduce yourself as who you are. You create the identity you want for yourself. And right now, that identity is whinging. And that's something you will never, ever get rid of. You are known as a permanent whinger, and your husband too. It's grievance after grievance after grievance, and they're weaponizing their grievance. So ultimately, it will be their downfall. If they take as much aim as they want to at Hollywood, they're still never going to be accepted. Like I said in my previous video, they have lost their sparkle, and Hollywood isn't listening to them. So they can really harp on as much as they want, but they still won't get invited to the big bash dinners, the big bash galas in Hollywood, because they're doing the damage themselves, and that damage is unrepairable. So I would love to know your thoughts. Why do you think Meghan is constantly having grievances towards Hollywoods and stereotypes? Do you think that she thinks that she is above everybody else and can tell everybody what to do? What gives her the right and also the education and the experience to do so just because she has a title? And more importantly, is anybody listening? As always, I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.